All right, it looks like we are live. Welcome and hello, everybody. Welcome to Jerry's Live. My name is Emmy Klein, and I am your host this evening. And as you can see, I have a special guest on with me. Today we have John Cogley, the CEO and owner of Daniel Smith Watercolors with us today, and he has a very awesome show planned. So I'm very excited. Thank you so much for joining me.
Very welcome. Great to be
Sorry,
here.
I also have John, sorry, I'm trying to, the only way I can actually hear John right now is through my earbuds, and unfortunately I am having a weird audio issue. So just to kind of, I can't hear John right now. I'll try to fix this on my end, but sorry about that. But if you do want to see the products that John is using in the show today, make sure to go to the website, jerrysartorama.com, and type in the code, the search bar, the code JL197, and everything he's using should pull up. So I'm going to try and fix my audio issue here, John, but if you want to take it away, please feel free. Sorry about that.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. I'm John Cogley, the owner of Daniel Smith, and I'm going to go over the Daniel Smith watercolor line. We do make oils, both traditional and water soluble, if you're have any interest in that. So why don't we go ahead and we'll start with the Daniel Smith watercolors. I'm going to put this down. So this material will be available in the Facebook. So let's start with the story of Daniel Smith. So with Daniel Smith, we get pigments, source pigments from two places. We source them from the earth and also from the laboratory. The most important part of our process at Daniel Smith is this one right here. And this is the artist. Our process both starts with and ends with the artist. Whether it's a synthetic pigment or a mineral pigment, earth pigment, we go through the same process and be able to make the paint. It just comes from two different sources. This is available and will be available on Jerry's on the Facebook, so you can actually look at this. It goes over the process of how we use different machineries, mills, to process the Primatech. And then how we use 3-roll mills to process it, to make it linear, to get the most amount of uniform light, so therefore uniform color. So it'd be a probably good article for you to read if you're interested. The next one is on our Primatex. Let me see if this will focus. And this is also available, will be available on Jerry's. And you can see the 36 minerals that we use to make our Primatech paints. It'll tell about it, where it's found, and a little story. So for those of you interested in the Primatex, this is probably of importance. Again, that's available on Jerry's as well. We're going to be going over the Daniel Smith watercolors. There's 261 watercolors, and the watercolors are broken up into several groups. This right here are the general colors. We also have, which I'll be going over with you, we also have Hematite colors made from minerals, and there's 36 of those. And then there are 48 luminescent colors. And I'll go over and describe the luminescence and what makes them unique. We're going to be doing some paint out, so you'll see that as well. And this is available as a flippable color chart on Jerry's site as well. This is a great tool for any artist. I'm going to go over really quickly how you can read a color chart. Super important, because over a cup of coffee, you can make informed decisions about what you want to buy. So very, very, very important. This is the version that is available online. It's same as the one in front of me, but it's online. And you can flip and see it, or you can print it out at your leisure. I'll go over how to read that with you in a moment. This right here is the story of each color. This is available. Jerry's will have it on the Facebook. And for every single color, you can read its particular story. So it'll give you insights from the artist, also about the color itself. So very useful from an art standpoint. So some of the things that are available, I'm gonna go over those with you. Then we'll come back to the color chart. People always say, John, why do you have 261 colors? And that's because, for example, we have many yellows, but the yellows aren't all the same. The yellows, for example, some could be granulating, some might not be granulating. Some can be transparent, some might be semi-transparent. Some might be staining, others might be non-staining. So it really allows you as the artist, if you choose so, to have the most amount of tools in your toolbox. For example, if you wanted to do a lot of layering, then you'd want to look at the color chart and start choosing colors that are transparent, because you can do the most amount of layering in that way. You can do 3, 4 easily. So build up layers. If you were doing realist painting, you may not want a color that's granulating. So you would choose a non-granulating color. If granulating is something you want to do a picture of an old piece of equipment out in the field that's rusting, you may choose to use granulating colors because they really show that beautiful differential in your paint. And it'll also show you the light fastness. That's certainly of interest for me as a manufacturer. Majority of all of our colors are 1s or 2s. 100+ year is a 1, 100 year is a 2. I'll show you the only 2 fugitive colors that we have in a moment. So with that, it's always good to be able to see what a color looks like. And a good way to do that, and Jerry's would have this, is a 238 dot card. And the 238 dot card, what it allows you to do is not only see, but feel the color. For example, if we looked at, we wanted to see New Gamboge right here. Well, we could just actually see it. We could see it, we could paint with it, we could mix it, we could do any of those things. If we wanted to see a lunar violet, we could wet it out and we could see the lunar violet, what the lunar violet looks like. We could also paint out the lunar violet and see that this is a really good granulating color, because now you can actually feel it and see it on the paper. So before you buy and put out the money for a tube, if you're so inclined, you can test out 230 of the colors. It's a great way to test the Daniel Smith colors. And it has the characteristics of each one of the paints. It has its light fastness, whether it stains, whether it granulates, and its opacity for each and every color.
Now, John, I did actually have someone asking one question here. Is there a dot card for the Permatech line specifically?
There is one for the Permatech line. The 66 dot card has quite a few of the Permatechs on it, and the 238 has a great deal of the Permatechs as well. We don't sell the 238 dot card for, I mean, the 18 Permatech dot cards. It's either in part of the 66 or it's part of the 238. That's a good question. So here I'm moving this.
And I can tell you, everybody is very, very excited about those dot cards. They are blowing up the comments on the live chat here. They are very excited.
So it's easy to open up. And then Jerry's has these. So inside the package, there's four cards with 238 of the colors. And to answer your question, anything with a P on it, right here, P means Permatech. So it's easy to find them here. Permatech, 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 Permatech. you can find the majority of them, if not all of them, on these cards. Very easy. As well as, I'm going to be showing in a minute, the Quinacridones.
Now, somebody did ask, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it here on my questions. It was Sue Cohen. She was asking, are the Quinacridones considered a regular color as far as watercolors are concerned?
Regular color. So Quinacridones were made in the 1950s. They're a synthetic. They were made for the car industry, so they're pretty much as perfect can be. They're super light fast. They're all 100 plus, or very, very light fast, very strong colors, very vibrant colors. So there's 14 of them. We're the first ones to come out with the Quinacridones in watercolor. So we have, for example, this is really high. We have the Quinacridone Gold. I bought the world supply of the original Quinacridone Gold. It is no longer, this particular shade is no longer made. So this is the Quinacridone Gold. Now we have a blend. This is it. There's the Quin Purple, Quin Sienna. This is the Quin Burnt Scarlet, Quinacridone Coral.
Which is definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, Quin Burnt Orange is probably one of, it's either Quin Burnt Orange or Quin Gold are the two, by far, the two most popular colors. They're both very beautiful. So they're the two most popular. This is Quin Deep Gold. And then we have the Lilac. We have Fuchsia, Quin Pink, Quin Magenta, and then Quin Rose, Quin Red, and Quin Violet. These three I really spend some time when I'm doing presentations. I'm not an artist. I know a lot about the colors, but I'm not an artist. But I can answer the questions about the pigment, how it's made, etc. These three are very unique in that people ask me, for example, well, if somebody has, I know that the color name, can I go from one brand to another brand and find the same color? And the answer to that is no, you can't. And so here's a good example. Quin Violet right here is PV19. Quin Red right here is PV19. Quin Rose is PV19. So here's three pigments, all the same color name, pigment violet 19, PV19, that are all three different in their colors. And that's because of chemistry. It's because the alpha beta particles on the 5-member ring. Quin means 5. It's made up of 5 rings. And how those are on the ring causes a different color. So it's all about chemistry. Another example of that would be, for example, the French ultramarine and the ultramarine. These are both PB29. And the only difference between these two colors, the two pigments, is size. The French ultramarine is a slightly larger particle. The ultramarine is a slightly smaller particle. And when the light wave hits the larger particle, it moves toward the red or the warm. When it hits the smaller particle, it moves toward the cool or the green. So ultramarine is slightly cool. French ultramarine is slightly warm. And they're both the synthetic versions of the first aquamarine, which is lapis. And so lapis is a primatech. Sorry about that. This is what it comes from. This is lapis. So this is the mineral lapis, and this is made from the pigment lapis lazuli, genuine. So one of the things I'm going to show you today, especially with the Primitex, although it does carry over to the lunar colors, and we'll play with these a little bit, is what's called granulation. Let me show you some granulation. This is green apatite. This is a Primitech. You can see that it's extremely granulating, and that's caused by differential specific gravity. Things, it's made up of particles. All the Primitechs are imperfect in that they're just not like a Quin, which is all the same size, all the same shape, all the same weight. In that case, where all they move, all the particles move together, there is no granulation. But here they're different. So you get this granulation. And made from this mineral right here, green apatite. So I'm asked, does that exist in the synthetic world as well? Yes, this is lunar black. Very granulating color. It kind of defies the rule of granulation because this is a synthetic. It's all the same size, all the same shape, all the same weight, and yet you get maximum granulation. And we're going to see some cool ways that really behaves with the lunar black in a little while here. Moonglow and shadow violet, these are also very popular. They're also granulating colors. The Moonglow is anthraquinoid red, viridian, and ultramarine blue. The shadow violet is pyrrole orange, viridian, and ultramarine blue. So let's look at the color chart again. So if we look at the color chart, and in particular buff titanium right here, we see the common name is buff titanium. Titanium is actually rutile, it's a mineral. So buff titanium. It's pigment white number 6:1. We have titanium white, which is also pigment white number 6, and gray titanium, which is also pigment white number 6. This is available in 15 mil, 5 mil, stick, and half pen. It also says the series. This is how a retailer, for example, Jerry's, would set up their pricing structure. One is we try to make everything a 1 or 2 if we possibly can. It's the most economical from a money standpoint. It is a 1, which means it's a light fastness of 1, which is 100 plus years, and we test that with our xenon phaedometer. It is a 1 for staining, which means it's non-staining. It's a Y, which means it granulates, and then it's semi-transparent. You'll find this when you do the printout that Jerry's has on their Facebook site. You will see there's a legend. And the legend is right up here. This is the legend, and it will describe each one of those features for you. So when I say it is buff titanium is available in a 15 mil tube. It's that size right there. It's also available in a 5 mil tube. 1/3 the size. It's also available in a stick format. There's the stick. It's kind of a pan in your hand, if you will. And then it's available in a half pan. So it's available as you might want to use it as an artist. I get this question a lot. The stick has just an enormous pigment load. It's gum arabic. It's mostly going to be the pigment. They're all the same price. They're about the same cost as a series 1. Actually, they're less than the series 1 for most places. And yet within the sticks, there's series 1, 2, 3, and 4. So from a price standpoint, they're phenomenal. It's not why I made them. I made them because artists were saying, can you make me something where I can actually hold it? And came out with these. They're phenomenal. Let me show you. I'll show you an example. So let's take 2. This is pyrrole orange. Pyrals are very, very bright, very beautiful. And let's just do Pyral Orange. So there's different ways you can play with it. You can scrape it if you want. You can come off the top of the color, And you're in control of how much you want to take off. You can, if you want, just go around. You can, if you choose to, you can draw. These aren't crayons, these are actually pure pigment. So you'll see that it doesn't go inside of the cold pressed paper, it doesn't go into the valleys. But then you could always wet that out if you wanted to. Some artists like to see the design underneath it, but also be able to wet it. So what you do and how you do it's really up to you. Wet into wet, dry, draw. But again, it's not a pigment. It's pure pigment that you're playing with.
And John, those the pigments that are in the sticks, they are as light fast as all the other versions, whether it be in a tube or a pan, correct?
Well, that's a good question. So whether it's the half pan, the 5 mil, the 15 mil, or the stick, they're all exactly the same pigment being used. It's just different amount of water. The half pan has the least amount of water. These two tubes have to have water because they're in aqueous solution. And then the watercolor stick has, it's way less water than the tubes. And it just has an unbelievable pigment load. But yes, it's the same exact pigment, same light fastness, same everything. They're exactly the same. And that's a good question because look at the color chart. For example, the buff titanium, which we just looked at there, they would all have the same information, whether it's a stick, a pan, tube, 5 mil, or 15 mil. It's all the same. What changes is the amount of water. Okay, so here's some other things I think for those of you might be interested. We also have masking fluid. Masking fluid is a frisket. And the interesting about this is you're given 5 tips. They look like this. So you can pull the top off your masking fluid like that. You can cut this to any size you want. You probably want to cut it like right there. And that allows you to apply it. It comes out by capillary action. And then you can cut the pipettes to any size you want and just stick them on the end like that. And that allows you to, if you want very, very fine detail or you get wider detail, so you can make that choice of what you want. And I've been showing, you're always welcome to join me during my Facebook, which are Thursdays and Fridays. And what I've shown the group that's has been with me is we just tested it out for the last 40 days. So every week I pull it off. I don't know how long you'd want to keep it on, but you can keep it on for quite a long time and still pull it off.
Now, I do have a couple questions that people are asking about the sticks. If we could just go back for just a little bit, sorry.
Of course, yeah.
And sorry, let me try to make sure I can find them. How do you recommend storing the sticks?
So sticks, it depends on where in the world you're at. We have a plastic case, and Jerry would have the plastic case, and it can hold up to 5 sticks. Each one flips open, and you can put your stick inside of it and close it down. You can do it that way if you like. You can just leave them on your desk, and they will dry out. So if I left this here on my desk, you know, in a series of hours, it's going to dry back out from where right now it's a little bit wet. It's going to dry out. So there's really not a lot of ways that you have to store it. It's pretty user friendly.
Yeah, they definitely look like they would travel really well. Somebody was saying that'd be great for plein air painting. Now, the other question that I did have was, is there any kind of an expiration date on those sticks?
So there is no expiration date on the sticks. We keep retains. So if you ever noticed on the bottom of our tube, there's a series of numbers, and that says what it is, when it was made, who made it, and who was the chemist. And we do that for everything we make. So on the sticks, we've had the watercolor in the tubes in our retains for up to 27 years, depending on when they were first made. So we keep 7 from every batch we make. And that's because as an artist, it may take you 4 years and you have a question, or 5 years. You know, I have a question about your Hansa yellow medium. Well, we would have made tens of thousands of these in that time period. So it doesn't really do us any good, or you any good, to answer a question on one that was just made. So what we'll say is, can you go get yours? And if you tell us the code, the batch code, we'll go to our retains area. We'll pull out the same exact one you have in your hand, and then we can talk about it. So it's the best way to give you, as the artist, the most information about your question. When it comes to the sticks, there is no expiration on the sticks. Watercolors last an unbelievably long time. They're some of the longest art materials in history. If the watercolors, for example, dries because you keep the cap off or it gets cut, what you end up with is a big fat pan. And that's the way you can use it. It'll last a long, long time. So you don't have to throw away your material. If there's a little bit of gum arabic, some of our very heavy pigment, for example, the Primitex, can cause free gum arabic to come to the top. You can just get rid of it. You don't have to keep it. The pigment will always keep the amount of gum arabic that it needs. Okay, did I answer that? Or I love questions, by the way. For everybody watching, I really love
Yeah, no, I think there was one other color about the sticks specifically. Sorry, I have to scroll through it. How many colors are available in the sticks? Is every color available, or?
No, they're not available. There's 36 Primitex, 261 colors in the tubes. The last one being the McCracken Black right here. And there are 48 luminescents, and there's 51 sticks. So the most popular colors are in the sticks. And there's a spreadsheet on all of that at Daniel Smith. You can actually sort it on pigment, etc. It's also listed on the flippable color chart that Jerry's has. You can actually flip it and see which colors are Primatech, or which ones have the half pans or the sticks.
Wonderful. Now, I'm sure there might have been a couple questions that I did miss as far as the ones that have been asked so far. If we do have any questions that we did miss, we are happy to go back and make sure to answer them in the chat after the show is over. And, you know, you guys can always message us directly as well. If you send me a message and it's specifically for John, I can always get it over to him, guys. But I will let you continue your demonstration, though.
Yeah. So the majority of the Primitex are semi-precious stones. This, for example, is tiger's eye. And tiger's eye, you've probably seen quite a few as cabochons. You can wear them as necklaces. You can have them as rings. They're really beautiful. We have two versions of tiger's eye. We have tiger's eye and burnt tiger's eye. So if I put this into a furnace and put it at 700 to 1,000 degrees, I can change the oxidation state, and it'll go from this gold to a red. So that's what our burnt tiger's eye is. And that's what tiger's eye looks like. Tiger's eye and burnt tiger's eye. So of all the colors we have, the 261 colors, we have two that are fugitive. So 15 to 25 years. All colors will last longer if you put them behind a UV glass and keep them out of indirect light. But the two that are fugitive are opera pink, which is a fluorescent. Made this for the Botanical Society. Very popular. And alizarin crimson. And alizarin crimson is a coal tar derivative. And I make this because it has a history behind it. A lot of the masters use alizarin crimson. So a lot of professors, etc., have their students use alizarin crimson. The professors are very, very knowledgeable. They understand it's a fugitive, but they want their students to paint like the masters. So they use this particular color. It's a very popular color. For artists that love the color, but they want something more permanent, we have permanent alizarin crimson. So permanent alizarin crimson is made with more than one pigment. It's 100+ years. It's a series. It's a light fastness 1, 100+ years. So you can use the alizarin and paint like the masters, or you can use the permanent alizarin crimson. But we have only two fugitive colors, opera pink and alizarin. On the tubes, on the back of the tube, there's a lot of information. It'll tell you what the pigment being used is. It'll tell you about the pigment. It'll tell you that it was per the ASTM, which is for light fastness, etc., American Standard Testing Methods. And it has the ACMI. So ACMI is this right here where it says AP or CL. It means approved or caution label. And that means it was sent into Duke University on behalf of the ACMI. Duke University has board certified toxicologists, all PhDs, and they test it. We have to give them the full recipe. They go through the full recipe and then they decide what the label is going to be. Okay. So why don't we look at, these are the last, and then we'll play with some paint. This is from the Luminescent series. The Luminescent series has 48 colors. And within the Luminescent, we have what's called pearlescent. And these are pearlescent. There's two of them. Pearlescent shimmer and pearlescent. They're the same exact pigment. The shimmer is slightly larger in size than the pearlescent. But so some artists use this to put inside of the eyes. Watercolor kind of makes the eyes look dead. A little bit of any of the luminescent can add that light. If you look in anybody's eyes, you can always see light in a person's eyes. And so to get that is a really good way to use it. Okay, that's a pearlescent. We also have a series within the luminescent called the Duochrome. And the Duochrome is one color, one pigment that can shift between two colors. And that's because this particular pigment both refracts and reflects color. When you refract color, you have scattering of light. When you reflect it, you don't. This does both. because the mica that's inside of here is at different levels. So you get both reflection and refraction of color. So you can kind of see this one is violet when I do it one way, and it's green when I do it another way. It's all the perspective of the viewer. Interference is refraction of color. Again, this is a luminescent. Easy to know as an interference because it's very difficult to see over white. I can move it around and see a little bit over the white, but where I really see it is on anything dark. So whether it's a black or a green, etc., it'll really pick up that refraction of color. And iridescent I brought here for us to play with. Iridescence, you can see it over white. And the reason you can see it over white is it is a reflective color. Therefore, you can see it over white and you can see it over any dark color. So that's the luminescent. I brought some interesting colors for us to play with as well. Kind of wanted to show you, these are some of the lunar colors. Very granulating colors. They're not Primatech, but they're very, very granulating. We will look at the Cascade Green. This is a co-precipitated pigment, which means it's one pigment that's locked together. So it's two pigments that come together that are locked to make a co-precipitated pigment, which is considered to be one. With the addition of water, it breaks apart. And that's why you can see some of the yellows. You can see the blue. The more time you give this, the more it will break apart and you'll get this variation in color. It's almost like it's alive. Some people say, I think gremlins came in and messed with my painting last night because I used Cascade Green. I see more than one color. It's exactly what it does. We'll also look at Rose of Ultramarine. So why don't we take a look at those now? Down. This is going to be Quinacridones.
So can you tell us what colors you're pulling out right now?
Yes, we're going to be using
As
green
you're
apatite.
grabbing
first.
them?
Yep, green apatite.
Okay.
After green apatite, we're going to look at Cascade Green, Rose of Ultramarine, and then Lunar Black. So those will be the first four. So the green apatite, it granulates very, very quickly. It's a highly granulating color. So it's a Primatech, highly granulating.
And that simply just means that it looks like you have almost like a sandy kind of graininess to your watercolor finish once it actually disperses through the water. Yes.
So it looks like this right here. That's granulation.
Yeah.
So a lot of artists that are doing, for example, tractors or leather or wood, where you see that variation, will use these because it does that very quickly. It matches nature. Okay, the next one is going to be the Cascade Green. It's Cascade Green. And what I did right there is I put a little water line, kind of touch it in there and touch it there. We'll have it break apart. And you'll actually see, I even see in here some yellowish coming out, but you'll start seeing it a lot. It just takes time for that pigment to come apart. Okay, and that's Cascade Green. Rose of Ultramarine is also a very popular color. I'm using my travel tubes today. Side. So this is Rose of Ultramarine. And this next one is probably the one that's it's very, very interesting. It's Lunar Black. And Lunar Black and Mars Black are the same thing. So it's Lunar Black. And it moves extremely quickly right away from itself. So instantly you see major granulation in Lunar Black. Lunar Black, Lunar Blue, Lunar Earth, they just really move away, but nothing more than Lunar Black. It just doesn't really want to be with itself. Usually something kind of interesting. If I did this with Ivory Black or Lamp Black, let's say they would tend to want to cover this yellow. If I take the yellow and I could add Lunar Black to it, the neat thing is we watch it for a couple of seconds. We're going to see the yellow get brighter and brighter because it's going to push those lighter particles away. You won't find that with other blacks. Try that with a lamp black, you would just cover it up. So, I mean, you can play with this particular color quite a bit. It's kind of one of those things that you can experiment with. We can add, see how yellow it is? And it gets really yellow. We can play with it some more and put some more black into it. It's not going to matter. It's still going to move away. So it looks like it's really black. If we just let it go, it's going to get more and more yellow before your eyes. So push that pigment out of its way. So it's kind of fun to have fun with it. Another color which is really quite pretty is Hematite. You're in the Midwest, especially upper Midwest, lots of hematite around. I should put that on my porcelain. So granulates, not as much as the Lunar, but still good granulation. It's a pretty color. The Primatex series. This is one of our newest color. This one was developed with Lauren McCracken. Lauren McCracken is a extremely good artist and brand ambassador out of Texas. He wanted the color that a black, so this is McCracken black, that could actually be warmed up or cooled down. And so we worked back and forth with Lauren coming up with this particular color. And the uniqueness about this is that you can watch Lauren's video. You can warm this color up or you can cool it down depending on where you want to go with it. So that ended up getting really quite, even with the amount of lunar black I put into it. You see it still goes quite yellow. This is a this is iridescent electric blue. So the one thing about the iridescent colors is they love to share. And so you kind of, when you're using water, if you don't give them their separate water when you're washing your brush, you can get some of the microparticles going on to other colors. So I've had people ask, why does my hematite, for example, have sparkles? And the reason it does is because when the brush was used, it wasn't cleaned of all the mica. If you like that effect, no problem, but they're kind of like lovers. They really want to share. And if you don't want them to share, you just need to make sure that you're cleaning your brush really well and or you're using a different separate water source. So let's play with that for a second. So iridescent means you can see it over the white as well as the black. It's certainly going to be more noticeable over black. However, you can still use it over white. It's a very pretty color. Very vibrant in front of me, not so much when I'm looking on that screen. That's how you know how you turn it over the light. So I can see it on white. I can also see it on dark. And then if I move it, it really pops on any type of dark surface. Extremely vibrant. The majority of all the luminescents have mica. Some of them have a silicate. If I put this in the water, now I'm going to have sparkles in that water. So you might want to use a separate water. Kind of neat if you look in the well, you can kind of see the blue on the outside of that Cascade Green. On here you can see the green. So just a really kind of cool color. Texts are kind of almost like martial arts versus the rest of the colors, which are like American boxing. You really want to go with the energy of the Primatex. They're not something that you get more out of them. you get a better, I think a better result when you allow the time to play with the energy of the Permatex. That's one of the beautiful things about them. The more they're able to flow on their own, the more different types of granulation you're going to get, etc. So let's look at some of the, look at the Quinacridone Gold and Quinacridone Burnt Orange. These are going to be very, very vibrant colors. If you like vibrant colors, doing florals, etc. They're extremely, extremely vibrant. They mix really, really well. So if you do a lot of mixing, they'll mix really well. The interesting thing is last year we were notified by the pigment manufacturer of this, these colors, in particular the Quinacridone Burnt Orange, and it's not going to be made anymore. They discontinued. So we bought enough for 15 years last year. So we have it, but if you didn't buy it, it's gone. It's very similar to what they did with the Quinacridone Gold. The reason behind that is,
Yeah, I had a couple people. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, please. Go
I did
ahead.
have a couple people asking about that. The Quinacridone Gold, like why it was discontinued or changed, as far as, because you had mentioned that the color over the last few years had been discontinued.
The Quinacridone Gold was discontinued 15 years ago. And about 15 years ago, if you can remember back then, a lot of the Toyotas were orange. Well, that was Quinacridone Gold. And it's because the reason these change is because of us as fickle customers, which we should be. So they're made for the automobile industry, which is fantastic because the cost of these is just through the roof to come up with. What we're able to do as a color manufacturer is to tag on to that and bring some of the beautiful colors from the automobile industry into the art industry. But when customers no longer like that particular customer or color, then the pigment manufacturer stops making it. And if you look from when I was a boy, where they had like, wow, I don't know, 6 colors. They had white, black, red, kind of a blue, and then a turquoise looking color. Now you look out the parking lot, there's some of the most gorgeous cars and the gorgeous colors. I mean, we're just flooded with beautiful colors. So I guess that's the trade-off. So this is actually Quin Red. Sorry, I should be wearing glasses.
I do that all the time with my pigments. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna grab this color, and then I don't read it really well, especially when they're so similar in the way that it's written on the tube.
Yeah, thank you. I like that.
It's called happy accidents, right?
You know what? The Shadow Violet was a happy accident. They used the Pyrrole Orange and not the Anthracenoid Red, and that's how we came up with it. So sometimes happy accidents are really good. Anyway, I think personally that art is one of the beautiful things that it's the path of learning and having fun. I mean, that's about our industry. Our industry this is a great industry about learning and having fun and just being creative. So now this is going to be the burnt orange. This is not the burnt orange, that's the scarlet. We're going to get there. I think I'm able to show you the Quinacridone burnt orange. I can't see it on my desk. So I'll show you something different. The Quinacridones, the beautiful thing about the Quinacridones is they're very vibrant. They mix really, really well. They're extremely popular for florals, etc. I've been doing this for a while during the whole COVID experience, and I must have on my desk behind me 500 tubes of paint. So I try to search through them before and Quinacridone got me, boy. Okay, this is the Lunar Red Rock. So the lunars, anything about the lunars is this super high granulation. And you can look between the two of these, three of these, four of these, high granulation versus little to no granulation. So it really depends on what you want as an artist to be able to express yourself. I'm asked quite a bit, well, how come they don't have a green in the Quinacridones or a blue in the Quinacridones? And it's because industry didn't want to pay the price for it. If one of the car companies wanted to pay the price to have it done, the pigment manufacturer would certainly make it. And then in most cases, because we're testing pigments all the time, we'd be able to purchase it as well. Last week, I looked at the yttrium, which is the new bluest blue. And that just came to market about 1 year ago, maybe 2 years ago, that you could actually buy the pigment in the US. So there's pigments coming all the time into the marketplace. Again, it has to be, for us, it has to be different than what we already have. We're not going to have a yellow that always has the same characteristics as the one beside it, because that wouldn't be, there wouldn't be any real value to that. So this is Quinacridone Violet. Oh, so really quickly, I wanted to show you one other thing too, so if you're interested in this. This is the Quinacridone Violet. So the Quinacridones are very, very vibrant, beautiful colors. Something else you may be interested in, oil colorists and acrylic artists have the ability to paint anywhere, anytime. As a watercolorist, when you're painting, you're always looking to go from light to dark. In fact, it's very analytical when you think about it, because when you're looking at an image, you're always breaking that image down like a puzzle and putting it back together from light to dark. Oil color artists and acrylic artists don't have to do that. They can paint it like they see it. They can put black down, wait till it dries, put white on top of it, wait till it dries, put brown on top of that. It doesn't apply, but it absolutely applies when it's watercolor. When you hit opacity or opaque, you're done. That's the story's ended. So real beauty about that. We make 6 different watercolor grounds, and Jerry's has these. This is the iridescent gold. This is the pearlescent white. This is the transparent. So if you want to see an object underneath it, transparent. We have buff, black, and this is titanium. So the neat thing about this is watercolor ground, you can put on anything. You can put it on rocks, paper, cardboard, wood, glass, plastic, anything. No surface is safe. You can put it on anything. You wait 24 hours and you can do watercolor on it. It's like watercolor paper in a jar. So anything, you just wait 24 hours for it to cure, and then it becomes a paintable surface. So instead of buying a piece of wood that's 8 by 12, you can do a piece of wood that looks like you. Paint it over with the watercolor ground, and then you can paint over the top of it. So it's really gives you a lot of freedom. It also allows for painting in 3 dimensions. So you're no longer stuck to a piece of paper. You can do things in 3 dimensions. The transparent is actually pretty interesting. I've heard mothers, and what they would do is they'd use the transparent, they'd put it over a book, wording of a book, maybe it's a story, and the child can look at, not only read the words, but they can see the painting about what the words say. So there's that correlation between both the words and images. And the last thing is the titanium white. Titanium white is great for fixing mistakes. If you have a white paper, you can actually use the titanium white, put the titanium white over what, if there was an issue, and then repaint over it. So it's like whiteout for the watercolor artist. We're doing okay on time?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that? I'm having an audio issue one more time.
Are we doing okay on time?
I think, how are we doing on time, Katie? It looks like we are about at the end of the show, though.
Okay.
Yes.
So I want to thank you all for joining me today. I thank you very much for Jerry. Thank you, Emmy, for allowing me to come on. It's been great. If you have questions, please let me know. On Jerry's Facebook, they're going to have a lot of the information that I went over. They carry the full line, so they will have everything. Please join me on Thursday or Friday for Facebook. If you have questions, I always love questions there. And thank you for your time. Thank you all for your time, Jerry.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. I know you kind of blew everyone's minds there, saying that you could paint on all the things for the ground, and now we can watercolor everything, because I know I'm going to.
Oh, awesome.
But right. I'm very excited. So everybody, if you do have questions, though, please feel free to put them in the chat. If we did not get to them during the show, we will absolutely go back through them and make sure to answer all of the things that you guys have been asking. If you did like this, make sure you hit the like button, because the more you hit that button, the more it's shared with other artists and the more it gets out there. And again, if you are interested in whatever John had gone over today, I'll make sure that everything is in the teacher's cart. So you can go to the website, jerrysartorama.com, and in the search bar, type in the code JL197 for today's class. And everything that he was talking about should pull up. I know I do have a couple things like the ground that I need to pop in there, and I'll do that as soon as the show is over, but I'll make sure that all of it is in there. So like he was saying, though, if you guys do have any questions, you are absolutely put it in the chat there, but you can also join us on our Jerry's Live Facebook group, which is a huge community of artists that we all kind of get together, post our art, and support each other as artists, and make sure that we can kind of ask questions. And it's a huge community over there, and it's really fun. So if you would like to join that, the page is called Jerry's Live. And of course, if you want to join, you do have to answer one question just to make sure that you're not a robot, because Katie tells me that I'm not allowed to have robots. But it is only just one question. And if you guys do any watercolors with this Daniel Smith watercolors that he's been showing us, all the granulars, the permatex, everything, the quinacridones, if you've been doing any of the watercolors with those, please feel free to post them and tag the code JL197, whether it be on the Facebook group, or if you have Instagram, you can also tag Jerry's Artorama as well. John, do you have any Instagram or websites that you want to make sure that they check out?
You can always come to danielsmith.com. We're also the Daniel Smith Facebook and Daniel Smith Instagram. Perfect.
Well, again, thank you so much for joining me. It was truly my pleasure, and I'm going to have to go buy all the watercolors now.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
I'm not mad at it. Well, thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a great night. Bye.
Bye.